So Sauce Walka says we gonna bring in the new year the right way. We gonna do us an old-fashioned paperwork party. Now, for those of you who are like, man, what in the world is a paperwork party? That's when everybody in the penal system, or I should say the jail system, pause, used to get together, and meet up and make sure that everybody's paperwork was on the up and up, that nobody was in there for any crimes that you would deem, disrespectful to the crew or would get you put out of the cell or in the jail situation. Now, this also happens on the outside when cats come home to make sure they were on the up and up and to make sure that they stood tall in the streets and never told or snitched on anybody. And Sauce Walka says he's got the best response ever for Blika. Now, for those of you who don't know, Blika went at Sauce Walka's neck recently, and he was talking a lot of stuff about Sauce Walka, man. And basically put it out that he had acquired Sauce Walka's duck chain. Now, nobody knew how he acquired the chain, but man, everybody assumed that he took it right off of Sauce Walka's neck. But that's not necessarily the case, because Sauce Walka came out with some evidence of his own. Man, he bust out some paperwork on New Year's Eve that he's alleging is none other than Blika. Now, on this paperwork, man, he's assuming that Blika actually was out here telling. Now, Sauce Walka losing his chain, we don't know the whole story. He could have lost the duck chain in any way. We don't know if it was by some type of violent interaction or not. But man, what we do know is he posted this paperwork on social media, and it is some of the funniest stuff you will ever hear, man. So before we get into the specifics, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And man, let's get it. All right, now that we got that out of the way, now while everybody else was getting their suit shined up or their shoes shined up, getting their nice fit ready so they could go out and party for the night, Sauce Walka was laying back in the cut, looking and reading all the people who were going at him about this Blika situation, man. He must have heard all the videos or heard the mumblings in the street, and he decided to take them to the online streets and expose folks, man. So what he did was he jumped out with some paperwork of his own and a story of his own. Now, for those of you who are lost, man, Sauce Walka's duck chain has been the story of the week, man. People have been talking about the fact that his chain popped up in Blika's hand. I did a whole video about it, explaining who Blika is, how he's a Houston OG, and Sauce Walka and him's interactions in the past and whatnot, and you can check that video out. But Blika made it seem like, he was the boss of all bosses, and that Sauce Walka had to respect him in these streets. Now, Sauce Walka jumped out on his own, man, and bust out this paperwork. Now, this paperwork that he got, it has some names that are listed, and man, I'm not sure if that's Blika or not, but he's definitely alleging that Blika is the person on this paperwork. So man, before we get to the paperwork, let's look at some of the stuff that led up to that, including some of the posts by Sauce Walka on social media. First thing that Sauce Walka posted was this right here, where he basically has Blika's number, and he basically said, put these captions on his post on his Instagram story. He said, give me a call, but watch what you say, same number, you know what I'm saying, and a whole bunch of phone emojis. So just putting the word out there like, hey, Blika, you better hit me up because I got your number. And man, I'm about to really expose you on this social media. And then he followed that up with this. And on this is a screenshot of the paperwork where he's basically alleging that Blika was out here telling, man. And the funny story about it, he was actually telling on some females, man. So this is a crazy story, like I said. Now, Sauce Walka must have got fed up because he kept posting this, man. And he posted it several times. And he posted other people's response to it and people adding him. And man, it was pretty funny, man. It was a moment. And other people were passing around the paperwork online, man, having their own little fun with it, man. And they were all telling Sauce Walka, like, man, laughing emojis. I think even Say Cheese posted it, man. So everybody was looking at this paperwork like, whoa, man, this can't be the dude who was on that video talking about he was like the biggest boss in Houston or something. Because, man, this is obviously, man, circulating around, and a lot of people are making a good time of this. Now, the actual paperwork that he's suggesting is Blika. He posted, he must have got fed up because he made it its own post on his social media page. And basically, you could read it verbatim what it says. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and read that paperwork for you guys right here. And this story is hilarious. On the very first post, the first thing that you see is a handwritten statement. And you see it was in Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, and it says voluntary statement. That's the very first thing you see at the top, and it says page 1 of 1. Then it's got the event number and all that, and then it says a specific crime. It says robbery. And then the date is the 17th of February this year. So right before, Corona really kicked off big, this was out in Vegas. And I'm assuming if this is Blika, that his name is Terrence Cornish, Terrence Lamont Cornish, and that he's from Texas, and it's got all his information right there. We're not going to post that. Now, you look at the residence, and it tells you where he's from, and you see the email right there, man. It says blikamusic@gmail for like his email or whatnot. So, man, that gives away a lot, man. That gives away a lot. So in this written statement, he says, I met 3 females at Drea's nightclub, and 2 took Uber with me to a motel, Travelodge, and robbed me with pepper spray. So I ran out of room in pursuit of robbery suspect, yelling to call police. So basically, man, let me decode that for y'all, because it's in some broken English. He's basically saying that he took 3 females from Drea's nightclub, which is one of the hottest spots in Vegas ever, man. I mean, it's the spot. And he took them to a Travelodge motel. And then when he got to the Travelodge, they robbed him with some pepper spray. So he ran out of the room and in pursuit of the robbery suspects. Now, in the other part, it gets more into detail, and we'll get to that in a second. But at the bottom, it says, my name is Terrence Lamont Cornish. Details are that 2 of 3 of the females got me naked with initiate to rob me. 1 female acted as if she was going to give me fellatio, and other grabbed my money and personal belongings and ran out of motel room, and I followed in pursuit after I was, and it cuts off there. But you could tell that, man, Blika had him a time in Vegas, man. Now, there's a lot of stories of folks taking girls back to motels or hotels. In this case, it was the Travelodge Motel, which is, man, that's crazy, man. I would never stay off the strip at the Travelodge or something like that. And, man, the girls that he took back to the motel pepper sprayed them and robbed them. But, man, in the other part of this, man, it gets even more detailed, man. So let's look at that. On this next document, it looks like, man, Sauce Walka basically posted the official report from the scene, man, when officers showed up and seen what happened to none other than Blika, man. So we're going to read this in parts because it's broken up and there's a lot of pauses in there, and sometimes the English isn't in the correct format. So we'll go through this, and man, if you look at here, it still says at the top, robbery, conspiracy robbery, and you see where it lists a bunch of the information about the location or whatnot, but we're going to scroll all the way down to the good part where it tells the story. Now, it says the details for probable cause. So this is obviously based on the complainant or somebody, giving a statement as a complaint. Now, on February 17th, 2020, at approximately 07:44 hours, I, Officer Pickens, and that's his patrol number, operating in a marked unit, and blah, blah, blah. We're going to scroll down past that. Upon my arrival, I made contact with Terrence Cornish, date of birth 04/07/80. He was walking on the sidewalk towards officers, along with 2 females later identified as blanked out names. Both blanked out name and Cornish were complaining of pain as the result of being sprayed in some type of pepper spray. Now, it continues down here and it says, Cornish said he met the blank and the blank at Drea's nightclub and asked them to come back to the motel with them. He said he gave them each $200 to perform strip dances, where both females undressed and then for sex. Cornish said he also got undressed at some point and blank began performing oral sex on him. Cornish said that while blank was performing oral sex, he noticed that blank was going through his pants pockets where he had his money and credit cards. Cornish said that's when blank pulled some pepper spray out her purse and began spraying him in the face, causing him pain and temporarily blinding him due to the chemical exposure. Cornish said that's when he tried to stop being sprayed by the pepper spray and he tried to stop Blank from taking his money or belongings. Cornish said that's when all three started grabbing, pulling, wrestling, and fighting over the money. Cornish said he put his pants on and ran outside and yelled for someone to call the police. Once outside, Cornish said he was locked out of the room and tried busting open the door with his shoulder, causing damage to the front door. All three had exited the room at this point and were headed out to the sidewalk when officers made contact with them. Now, man, if that ain't a story, I don't know what is, man. Now, allegedly, according to this paperwork, Blika was the victim of a crazy robbery attempt involving pepper spray and, man, some strip workers or sex workers or whatever you want to call them, and, man, it all went bad, man. It's a crazy story and really funny, man, when you think about it. Because, I mean, I've heard of people having some crazy experiences in Vegas, but nothing like that, man. Now, Sauce Walka is alluding to the fact that he has even more paperwork and that he's going to start putting it out on Saturday night at 9 p.m. I mean, he's really making a show of this thing. But if this next group of paperwork is anything like what he just released, I'm all here for it because that story was hilarious. Now, that was a tough read because they black out a lot of stuff and because of the text, man. It's very grainy. But, man, hopefully you guys enjoyed that story. And what do you guys think, man? Do you think that Blika getting robbed in Vegas by a couple of dancers takes away his validity in the street in any type of way? Or was this just another crazy experience that he probably had in Vegas, but you're here for the rest of the paperwork that Sauce Walka is about to bust out on him? Now, with that, this has been your boy Big Man. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you get a notification every time I drop this hot content. And we out of here. Peace.